Can we do a sound check?
I can hear you, Angela, but I can't hear anybody else.
Angela, can you hear yet?
I can hear you now, and I heard Chuck as well. So I think if Chuck can hear you now, we're good to go.
Great. Commissioner Townsend. Commissioner Townsend. Commissioner Townsend, can you hear us yet? Committee members, thank you for bringing it to my attention. We're trying to pull everything up beside the screen here so we can see if something is going on here. As soon as we get Commissioner Townsend on board, we can get started.
Townsend said she can hear us somehow. Came through the message on Zoom.
Okay. Commissioner Townsend? Does she show she's muted?
She does not show as muted.
Okay. We may want to have her get out and try coming back in again and see if that doesn't. Technology is great when it works. And when it doesn't, it is a minimum a challenge. Okay. Commissioner Townsend, can you text her and let her know that we're going to go ahead and, but it's really important that she hears because I need her response. She may have questions because there's a few questions she posed in here, and I'd like to address those questions that have been brought up by members. Yes, Carol. Yes, and that we've got some, they're not all done. I anticipate that we will get more questions as they come forward. We're trying to go by the dates that we put forward. So tonight we've got just a few here that were posted by members from the 117 meeting. And I'd be more than happy to share them with you. They haven't been posted yet.
I have tried to keep a list too of questions.
Okay, bear with us, committee. Commissioner Townsend is logged out and is logging back in. Commissioner Townsend, any luck yet? Yeah, we're not taking any, I don't think we need a quorum, but I mean, that's.
Oh, she's back on.
Okay, well, Commissioner Townsend,
Good evening, all. Yes, I moved
There
to
we
a
go.
different device.
Right.
Thank you.
okay, great, thank you. We're glad you could make it. I'll just repeat what we stated earlier. When we initially formed the task force, we were charged with looking at through the charter and modernizing it and raising questions where there may be questions raised, and try to do our best to update the document should we have to update it. And there have been some questions posed by individual committee members. I would assume, and if not, please correct me, that those questions are still in the possession of the members. And I'm talking about document resolution R197. If that's not correct, please let me know. I think I have some notes of those that had brought questions forward, as well as council still has some questions. So if we want, we can go back through it. I don't think we really need to, but if there's, I believe one of the things that I really believe that we can recommend in council and staff is that we look at the he and she throughout the charter. It needs to be gender neutral. Everything is stated he, I believe. I think we had that discussion. I think that's a very easy ordinance to bring forward, change. Is there any questions or concerns about that? Gender change throughout charter. I guess I should take a motion on that if we want to do that, or do you want to just wait? Okay. Committee, any questions, any comments, any recommendations on that discussion point? Okay. We will bring those forward as one of the questions to the public. If they have any concerns about changing the he to make them gender neutral in the book. Next, I believe there was a question posed by Commissioner Stites in new section 2, or in section 2, dealing with zoning regulation of the UG. And it was one of them that we had down in reference to Commissioner Stites' question was, how does that work with the unincorporated portion of our county? Are they under the KCK or Bonner Springs? And council, I believe you answered if they are outside the city.
That's correct. This city zoning regulations only apply within the city. And I think Commissioner Stites also inquired as to whether there were any county resolutions, and there are not.
Okay. No county resolutions. Is that something we need to address, council? I do know that we have taken action to now Loring falls back into the oversight of the unified government. I believe under the last contractual agreement between Bonner Springs and Kansas City, Kansas. Is this something we may want to address within the charter?
I don't believe that it would need to be addressed within the charter. If the board wished to adopt some sort of county, they would do so through state law provisions. I don't believe it would need a change in the charter.
Okay, so if there's no change needed in the charter, we may want to look at, you say state law?
Well, the state the state law governs a lot of the county processes. So we'd have to look at the county resolutions, not what's in the charter, but ultimately it would be tied back to state law.
Okay. So if it's outside the city and it is within the county, local resolution wouldn't deal with that?
Right, you could use, right, as long as it complied with the state law too, because it is more restrictive what you can do with the, they don't have quite as wide of powers in the county.
Okay. We may want to look at that. We have, I can go down here and look at some of these questions. Possible to consolidate. This county is not mentioned. On page 6 of 197 or of the our resolution, there was a reference, says the commission may exercise its legislative authority either by ordinance, resolution, charter ordinance, or charter resolution in a manner prescribed in existing laws of the state of Kansas. The charter ordinance is the city council of Kansas City, Kansas to charter, or as hereafter prescribed by the unified government. The county is not mentioned in that. Is that a, it says resolution, but I don't see, it says city council, but I don't see the county mentioned in here. Is it because the county is mentioned in a different part?
I'm sorry, where are you?
I'm right here. Page 6. Right here. There was a question raised, county's not mentioned, but if I do go over here, I do see all qualified shall vote general elections at both at-large members of the county, but I don't see the county. Shouldn't the county be mentioned in there?
Well, or it's here. I think it still covers it because in the manner prescribed in the existing laws of the state of Kansas, which cover most county enterprises, most county, and then the charter ordinance, the former, and then this charter, or is hereafter prescribed by the Unified Government Commission. So I think you have authority. The commission has given itself authority to move forward.
Committee, do you see what we're looking at on page 8? Item AA, it's just above section 2.2.
Because if you go down to 2.2.02, section 2, that brings in general powers and it vests with the unified government and any and all powers which counties are or may hereafter be authorized or required to exercise under the Constitution and general laws of the state of Kansas. So it gets this gives the commission full authority to act as a county government.
Okay. Okay, thank you, council. All right. Committee, when we were going through some of these, I've made numerous notes. On page 7, there was some clarity needed. I believe, let's see who asked that question on page 7. Who sets the agenda? I think there was a question in reference to the commission is composed of a chief executive and mayor, hereafter mayor, nominated and elected at large, and the 10 commission members. And then we went down through that section, and it talked about the petitions, filing in lieu of paying a fee to file. There was qualified voters, that the numbers have all changed. And I think we were looking for some clarification on that. It was, I have 1,400, 700, 175 for the district. Does that need to be put in here and updated with that amount, or is the new ordinance?
Right, so this has already been amended. This portion of the ordinance has already been amended in the ordinance book.
Okay. Do we need an ordinance book? Maybe that would help us. I
To-
mean,
To have all the ordinances.
well, if when we go raising these questions, if we could possibly bring forward those ordinances, maybe that would be a benefit, committee.
Okay,
If there's been changes in ordinances, which there have been numerous, it may be a benefit to have those ordinance changes before us. And meeting once a month, an hour at a time, is not the easiest way to walk through this charter when working out of 4 different books. And that's the guide of this chair, is to put this in one document that one modernizes this, and we follow resources without having to play between charter ordinances, charters, resolutions, duties of the mayor, history of the charter, resolution R-197, and the municipal code. So those are some of the issues that we hope to be able to resolve by going through this. I will just state, if you've had a chance to read ahead, that in order to change any of these ordinances, no ordinance shall be valid unless 6 commissioners affirmatively vote thereof. So whatever we take forward to the full commission will have to have minimum votes of 6 commissioners. So please know that if you want to bring questions forward for adoption, and those are ordinances. And for a charter ordinance change, I believe it's a supermajority, which I believe is 8.
yes, there's also a difference in how long it has to be noticed at for. There's between the city and the county versions. I did have that last time, but I didn't pull it for this time, but there's a little bit of difference in the city versus county changing charter ordinance or resolution. It's the amount that I think is necessary to protest it is different.
.3. There was some questions in reference to wards and precincts, the boundaries of such. Those have had to have changed since the last redistricting. Do we know if that has?
That's correct. That was already approved by the commission, and so that has already been amended. So that section is outdated in this resolution.
Okay. And in committee, please be advised, in order to create or alter or abolish any boards, departments, or commissions, offices, or agencies other than those specifically established by the charter, there's a process in which we want to do that. I would like, as your chair, to put something forward to the full commission to kind of get their feedback as to how they feel about the charter recommendations. And I would encourage us to give consideration to the gender neutral change, to one, have a discussion that we can have with the entire commission. They have yet to have a report from us. And the reason why that report hasn't come forward, because we haven't had public comment just yet. But the gender neutral is one that I believe most organizations will find acceptable. And I think it would behoove us, a prudent thing to do would be to bring that forward to the full commission to determine if they're willing to make any changes at all. And council, that's not necessarily a charter change, is it? Or is it a charter change?
To bring it forward or to,
To bring it forward is not a charter
Right.
change, but will it be a change to the charter? Or is it just, how do we go about changing the verbiage or shall versus mays? Can you give us some guidance on that?
so that would be brought forth. Normally it would go from this committee and then perhaps a presentation to the board and then into administration. I mean, normally these are brought forward through a standing committee and then to full commission for a vote.
Okay.
So I don't know with these new committees, they're a little bit different than the standing committees, which are set out in the charter, and that's sort of the process to bring them for vote. But then, you could present, that you have some options in logistically how you present it, whether you just repeal and replace with an all new one, or if you are just going through and doing it's more of a legal process, or if we just go through and repeal and replace certain sections of it.
Committee, I anticipate whatever we do, we'll have to go through a standing committee. Those are the ones that are recognized by the charter. I would assume, and I'll get clarification from legal once we drill down into this, the process necessary. It may have to go to one of the standing committees, rather the two that are charged by each commissioner at large to advance something forward, to have a public hearing and then move it to the full commission. I want us to get through, the reason why I bring this up, because I want us to go through the exercise so that we have an opportunity to understand what we're doing here. This work that we are charged with doing is not something we want to do willy-nilly. It's something that I call it our Constitution and how we govern. And it's critically important that we do this properly, for one, to put community and those in community that are interested in this, and two, that we're not usurping what the charter set out to do, and three, to give the public a chance to have hearings. Some of these changes can be made with regular ordinance or regular resolution, but if it comes to the charter, then we need to have a process in which we bring something forward. We know what needs to come forward through charter and resolution. And I believe Commissioner Townsend, that was one of the things you brought forward early on, to differentiate between all charter ordinances versus other ordinances mentioned. And that's what came back. Section 6.3 was where we came into the his or her official capacity to re-put that in. At least that's from the notes that I have before me. Committee, I would ask all of you to go back, review the document, and if you have questions, forward them to me. The notes that I have are quite numerous, and I want to ensure that we do respect to the time that you've given us. Some of this is, we need to get into the yellow book here shortly. I believe this is the yellow book that I presented to each member of the commission. I would encourage you to read through that and be prepared to
Chair,
address some. Yes.
sorry, Commissioner Markley.
Oh, that's right. No, go right ahead. Thank you.
I'm just wondering, I mean, it sounds like you have compiled some questions, and it sounds like legal has a list of questions, probably many of which match because we've been sitting through the same meetings. And you just offered if we go through the document again and we have any additional questions, we can send them to you. I would just offer, I'm guessing legal has already looked through some of the questions that we've provided and probably has an idea of some of the answers and some of the things that they would recommend. one way to move forward and be maybe efficient would be, for legal to take that list of questions and provide us a memo that answers what questions are out there, at least as far as those questions where it was not necessarily a policy-based question, but a question of, has this been changed in the past? Has this already been altered? Is this covered somewhere else? Those sorts of questions. We could kind of move all of those out of the way via memo so we can focus in on the actual policy related questions of, do we want to make a change from what has been done in the past? So just as a suggestion, I do anticipate, I chair the AHS standing committee. I do anticipate that I would be the standing committee to see at least the first round of discussions and host those public hearings. And I'm happy to do that as well. But I think there are probably questions out there that are policy related, and there are other questions that were just, hey, legal, where is this? What is this? Can we find it somewhere else? And those we could handle much more efficiently by memo.
So I did make a list of,
Talk into your microphone, please.
I made a list of comments and questions of the board, but those questions that got answered during the meeting, for instance, has this been updated? And then, yes, it was in section 2.2, for example. I did not make a list of those questions that were answered during the meeting. So my list is longer in comments than it is in questions of sort of overall, one of the main ones I answered was about the county resolutions on zoning. I checked on that, and we don't have those. So, but I'd be glad to, certainly disseminate what I have.
I think that would get us, a lot further down the road more quickly.
Okay.
Commissioner Markley, I appreciate the guidance and the input, and the standing committee that you're referring to that you chair was the committee I anticipated that we would start with. And the purpose of that is to do the transparency aspect for public comment. So I do appreciate you bringing that forward. I think it's important that we do so. As we went through 197, I have a list of questions. As the document, it deals with commissioners' pay. It deals with the cooling off period, 1 versus 2 years. There were suggestions made in reference to want some clarity. I can forward those to council, and we can get those and then put them in hard form as it was suggested, and then bring those back forward. We may not have all of them ready at one time, but we can start piecing away at them. And it would allow us to, one, work backwards on the document and get those answers in a more uniform manner. So I do appreciate that comment.
Hey, Chair,
I do know that.
If I could, Ms. Townsend has her hand up. I'm just making sure you recognize.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Commissioner. I cannot see it from where I'm at.
That's all right. That's what I figured. That's why I didn't mean to interrupt, but I wanted to let you know.
Yes, Commissioner Townsend. I think you're muted.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Commissioner Stites. Yeah, my comments were just in support of the process that Commissioner Markley had identified. We've gone through, the documents. So any questions that remain to be answered, or if council can identify, as she did today in one circumstance, what changes have already been made, to have that documented, I think would move us along, as Commissioner Markley said. And I am in support of taking whatever questions for public comment there are through the standing committee process. It's one already established by the charter, and the public is familiar with that. And it would be a great forum to have comments or explanations about what's going on here be given. So that was it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Townsend. Commissioner Stites, any comments?
No, I concur. I think that's a great way of going about this. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, committee. I'm looking to see, we have an extensive amount of discussion through these notes, and the best way to correlate this may be to just go from question 1, get a full total response. I was hoping to get into a little bit of the historical factors tonight to eliminate some of these questions. We did have a few people here in the audience, and so I was hoping to get to that, but it was mentioned that they would like to have the questions put in legal form. So I'm assuming that they would come forward with a legal standing on presenting that. I was looking at historical value too. Committee, be prepared next month for some public input. And I will ask that I will sit down with legal. We'll go through these questions specifically. If there's a section in here that any of you have, please reach out to me, because I have 2 pages of questions and notes plus the notes that I took, and I'm sure legal does also. The committee, the yellow book that you have, I would ask that you review those at your leisure, but be mindful, we're going to be looking at some of the ordinance changes that are mentioned in that book, and we will work through some of those questions for the public. If you have a question out of that book you want posed to the public, please forward it to myself.
I do me, so we don't violate the Meetings Act.
I'm sorry, what?
Have them email it to me so you don't violate the Open Meetings
Oh,
Act.
yeah, thank you. And that's why we have counsel here. When I said email it to me, we want to make sure we email it to counsel so we don't violate Kansas Open Meetings Act. Thank you, counsel. I was just trying to get a point of contact here so we could get these questions organized collectively. Because I've had commissioners ask me questions as of late, and I do know that we changed the rules at one of our January meetings that has been updated. And I do know that the gender notification will be coming forward. So those are all have been announced publicly. So any other questions you all may have, please bring those forward. Committee, are there any other questions or comments? I have my direction from the committee. Commissioner Markley, thank you for guiding us on that, giving us your input. Any other commissioners have any comments before I go to public comment at this time? Okay, seeing none. Members of the public, if you have any questions or comments you want to make for the record, please, this is your time to do so. I would ask that you just give your name and address so people know who's speaking that have joined us remotely, and committee will take those questions. Okay, let the record show no one stepped forward. And okay, all right. Okay, committee, I'm going to let you off the hook early. Next month's meeting on a Tuesday night, thank you for the time you've given us. Next month's meeting, we'll have the questions in a more formal document. We won't have all of them posted, but we'll have a majority of them posted. I will work with legal counsel. If you have any questions, please forward them. If you have your questions, please forward them to legal. I know this meeting was to go an hour. I anticipated public comment of some sort, but in all fairness to our conferees, we may not be as ready as I anticipated we would be. So with that, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mark,
Commissioner
you have to adjourn?
Townsend, second.
Okay. Thank you, committee. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, like sign. Thank you.